I was around in 2008, 2009. I've been doing this for 15 years. I got 650 startups underneath my belt, done a lot. In 2008, 2009, there were opportunities. And I think like we're thinking about in terms of associates today, there are going to be opportunities that are going to exist maybe this one time in your lifetime.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Go Live. I'm your host, Joshua Scott. Man, I'm super excited today. I've got Stephen Trutter with Ideal Practices with us today. Say what's up to everybody, man.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope we're looking for a great conversation today, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, my pleasure. You're coming at us from sunny Florida, Tampa.
Beautiful and sunny. There's a palm tree. If I can get the palm tree, there we go. There's the palm tree, and it's right there. So, oh yes, nice and sunny. It was cool this morning though. So, it was like 60. So it was kind of cool for Florida. You make the shift easy.
Yeah. Well, we're looking at 60 degrees today and sunny, and same thing for tomorrow. So I think Ohio is getting ready to freak out like this weekend. Everybody's going to be outside. My neighbor, I'm sitting here looking at him. He's shoveling mulch. He's mulching his tree beds right now. So probably something I need to do too. But fun. Look, how's the last couple of weeks been for you guys? Let me back up. Why don't you give everybody the 30, 60 seconds on Ideal Practices and what you guys do? Because for me, this is a really relevant conversation right now about startups. Obviously Corona is affecting all kinds of different people in different ways, but I wanted to have you on to talk about the startup space, the climate. So give everybody a little bit about what you guys do first.
Yeah, so many people probably know Jamie Amos, my partner. He's kind of the commercial out there, but I'm the director of consulting and president of Ideal Practices. And so we specialize in consulting for startups. We're the largest consulting firm for startup dental practices on a nationwide basis. We've got a customized approach to help guide clients to open up a successful startup. And so my goal is, how do we help empower young dentists today to become entrepreneurs? And to be able to avoid the common pitfalls that are out there in terms of in startup land. And, some of these doctors that open up, they struggle. We want to help avoid the struggle of opening up with a successful path, give them the confidence and I can't make them better clinicians because I don't have any clinical skills, but if I can help them and my team can guide them to be better entrepreneurs, they're going to launch that much better. So we love startups. I have an awesome team that just guides these clients through each one of these phases to get them to launch properly so they can realize not just being successful, but like making this practice, this vehicle that's something bigger, that is like the purpose. So like a lot of doctors that come to us, they're like, I'm looking for a bigger purpose. The practice, yes, is an income generator, but like it's serving me a bigger purpose in life.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love working with you guys in your practices, just because it's when I see an Ideal Practice, like it's so predictable, the results, the path, the success, the peace of mind, like the stability in that process, which is such an uncertain process for most people. It seems so uncertain and kind of all over the place and even mysterious, sometimes and complicated. And you guys tend to take all that out of it. So give me the last couple of weeks on just you guys, how this is affecting you, just the overall startup climate, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like, what are those, like the 12 stages of grieving or whatever? It's like the first one is kind of like denial, like, it's not going to happen. And the second one is like, oh my God, what's happening? I think we're getting out of like acceptance of, okay, I've accepted kind of what's happening. Now it's like, oh, what can I do now? And so I think with our clients, obviously we're having different conversations with our clients depending on what stage that they are. We have lots of clients that are just signing leases. So it's like, hey, we've got 4 to 5, 6 months to kind of watch this from the sidelines and still develop strategies to open properly. And so there's going to be lots of opportunities. So remember this word, everybody, opportunity and not opportunism. So there's going to be opportunities for our clients. And then for the ones that just opened, we're doing other things to help make sure that when they come out of this, that they're prepared. So are we triaging 100%? Are we doing things to make sure, like how we're having conversations with landlords and helping make sure they can navigate that with their lenders as well for some deferment so they can kind of get through this storm? So the last couple of weeks, I think, went from like shock to now like, oh, wait a minute. can do this, and like I have an opportunity on the back end of this, and like we're getting more excitement now behind it, because I think at first it was like the earth, the sky is falling, to now it's like, okay, we know what's happening. What do we need to do beyond that?
Yeah. No, I love that like analogy of the steps of whatever, the 12 steps of grieving or whatever, because I think you're completely right. And I don't know that we're completely out of it either. I think,
No.
The anger phase may come in here in a little bit. We'll see.
We might have done that. Yeah, I think anger will come after. It's like, oh, why does it ever happen to us? Ugh.
Right. Right. So, but yeah, well, look, I think, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because just talking with you guys, talking with other people in the dental profession, even the startup space, I think that there's really a lot of potential opportunity here for startups. And so one of my first things was like let's get somebody on to talk about the startup space. We work with a ton of startups. That's your guys' entire business model. So what, when you look at opportunities right now, like what are you seeing, especially in terms of just even associates right now that have probably been furloughed or laid off or just sitting at home right now? Like what's next?
Yeah. Well, if I kind of wind back, I'll kind of tell you a story about like in a startup world. I think to everybody out there, it's a 12 to 18 month process. So it's, what has happened in the last 2 weeks or what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks or even a couple months. If you're sitting there like, oh, wow, it's a 12 to 18 month process. So I think I was telling you a story earlier today about my youngest daughter. I have 3 daughters, and my youngest daughter, she's 7. And so she got braces put on not too long ago. And like the first process for her was, okay, I'm going to go get my braces on. No, we got to get the scan. Okay, then get the braces on. No, now we got to get the spacers. Okay, then I get the braces. No, we got to get the expander. And then she has these 2 brackets. She's kind of bummed right now because she can't go to the orthodontist because she wants the rest of the braces.
Yeah.
And I had to remind her like, hey, her name's Rowan. So I'm like, hey, Ro, it's a 12-month process. And of course she's 7. So I'm like, it's a year before you probably get everything done. So don't be upset yet. And she's like, okay. Well, when am I going to go back to the orthodontist? I'm like, oh, real soon. So I make that analogy because, well, startups is a 12 to 18 month process. And so the things that you can start thinking about today from an opportunity perspective, I think I have like 3 categories I think I really want to cover is what are opportunities for associates today? Having a process available, and understanding what that process is for successful startups. And I also want to talk about being an entrepreneur, not just being a practice owner. So when you talked about like, what are those opportunities? I will tell you, this is not about being opportunistic or having an opportunism. I'm saying there are opportunities. I was around in 2008, 2009. I've been doing this for 15 years. I got 650 startups underneath my belt, done a lot. In 2008, 2009, there were opportunities. And I think like we're thinking about in terms of associates today, there are going to be opportunities that are going to exist maybe this one time in your lifetime. So what's going to happen? You're going to see probably things like prices of real estate start to drop.
Yeah.
So in environments, where are you going to see that? Where landlords are going to have the florist, or not to pick on a florist, but like they're going to have some businesses that are naturally not going to make it through. Hopefully florists, people got to buy flowers. Right. But there's going to be real estate costs. And after 08, 09, when I saw prices of real estate decrease. Yeah. So there's going to be that opportunity for real estate. There's also going to be opportunities in terms of maybe we've seen it started in construction as well, where construction prices are going to go down. If naturally construction does slow down, even though it's still an essential business in most markets, naturally people are going to be building less. When you're building less, that's when your prices start to go down for your subs and for your electricians and your in plumbing and things like that.
Yeah.
When you go into areas where there's tons of construction, there's a lot going on, your prices go up because there's more supply than there is, and the demand is so high for the supply. If demand goes down, then you're going to have more supply and you're going to have more options and you're going to get some better pricing opportunities. Yeah. And I say the third part of opportunity is think about this. If you're an associate dentist, there is going to be displaced patients. Those displaced patients are going to be coming from practices that either couldn't make it through this, and there's also going to be displaced patients, new patients, because if I'll give you an example. I was supposed to see my dentist a week ago, and they said, "Oh, hey, it's not an emergency." And then I get an email. Bear with us when we reschedule 7 weeks of patients. So if you're a startup going into the market with like the latest in disease control, in clean and sterilization in your practice, which everybody want to have, and then all your competitors that have been around for years are rescheduling weeks of patients, are they going to be going for new patients or trying to retain 8 weeks worth of current patients?
Yeah.
That gap is the opportunity that I feel is going to exist with patients.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Have you seen construction? Because from what I'm seeing, I haven't heard of any construction delays right now. Are you guys hearing that or seeing that?
Not much. Like every so often we hear something, but if the only delay is based upon if it's a certain area of the country, which I can't pinpoint that there is one, but it would be like the municipality is closed down, that they can't get permits, or there's a delay with that. But actual delays of hammer swinging, no, I haven't had that with our clients. It's more of inspections, permitting is where some of that is.
Yeah. I was saying, because I'm typically dealing with startups like in that 3 to 6 months before they launch. So I mean, they're in it. They're in a construction phase. Right now, nobody's really expressing any concerns with delays. But I'm also wondering, like, if as you start getting into it in the next couple of months, if other vendors like cabinets, things like that, start to actually get delayed, because all it takes is really one of those to.
There is that, but I don't think we haven't seen that really go, because again, construction is still an essential business. Yeah. And I think the other part of opportunity that I'd like to point out to associates is there's a lot of displaced associates, and there may be less job opportunities. So my clients and how they're thinking about things, and if you're an associate, so if you start to build your own practice, you're starting to build your own job security in a sense. Like, there's going to be less jobs and more associates. So where can you place yourself if you're an associate? Like, oh, wait a minute, I can think about this. There's that opportunity that's going to come in on the back of this. So I think there's some opportunities that could be once in a lifetime, once in an opportunity for that.
Yeah, no, I love that, because I think what's going to come out of this is, what I noticed with myself, and I shared this a couple times on some other podcasts, but when we went through 2008, I think one of the things I noticed my shift mentally was, before that, we could go out to dinner as a family, and spend, family of 4, spend $75, $100, whatever, like nice, let's go out, have a nice dinner. Yeah. If the service was okay, we just kind of put up with it. Post 2008, I remember going, if we're going to go to dinner and spend $100, like, I want to have a good experience. Like, that tolerance just wasn't there anymore. And I feel like dentistry and probably a lot of businesses are going to come out of this the same way. Like, consumers, patients are going to go, what? Like, if I'm going to go to the dentist, I want it to be a great experience. I want to know, like, my dentist was radio silent through this time. I don't even enjoy going there. So I think there's going to be a little bit of that happens as well. Yeah. But you're making a great point too about new patients that honestly I hadn't thought about. I mean, we're going to be backlogged for 2-3 months on existing patients.
Yes.
So new patients are probably going to start just going through Google, dialing, trying to get somebody to take a patient.
Yeah, not only that, but if you're going into it, you're going to have, as a new practice, the latest in disease control. Yeah. There may be new guidelines. It's going to be you, or like the doctor's been open for a decade that's got like the dirty carpet. They're going to have to move into that for sure. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's been one of the things when I'm on the phone with startups, I typically ask them, I say, how are you feeling right now about everything? And usually they're like, we're good. We're, freaking out a little bit, but I think this could be good. And I tell them, I say, look, I think, you're launching in August, you're launching in September, whatever. I think it's ideal. I think it could be one of the most ideal climates for launching a practice, because those guys that can launch and be different and tell a different story and engage with their community and use this as a way to like leverage this opportunity to launch something that's different, that connects with consumers and patients right where we're at right now in history. I think you have an amazing opportunity to do that. Yeah, so absolutely. But I love your thought before I move off of this, that thought of, if you're an associate right now, like,
how many of them are sitting there this week, like they've been laid off, they've been furloughed, whatever, or even their just production is just way down because of not being in the practice. And how many of them are sitting there thinking about taking control, like in the future? You know,
what is yeah, exactly. This is the time to start thinking through that. And we've got a ton of response on just that, which is, wait a minute, it is a 12 to 18 month process. We're not building, and when what we do as far as our process in building strategies, we're not building strategies for the next 2 to 3 months. We're trying to build strategies. Like, you have to think about this, like building strategies that can last multiple decades, not like the next 2 to 3 weeks of what's happening in our world today, but like, oh, wait a minute, like this is going to take me a year to actually get open, and we're going to have strategies in place that like are for decades, not for like a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, as an associate, really thinking about like, what's your brand now? What's your story now? And maybe this is something that tips them into some action for sure.
100%.
I know you guys, one of the things I love about your program and you guys is your step-by-step process. And you've done this to, in a sense, take the mystery out of it, take the uncertainty, the complexity out and go, we got you. We're going to walk through this step by step. And if we do this, there's a predictable, like maybe it seems like magic when you finally launch.
Secret sauce.
Yeah. But I love Walt Disney and Disney World. And he's been kind of pioneer of that. It's like, it's the systems behind the scene that create the magic that everybody else sees. Yeah. And so in a sense, when I think about you guys, that's what I think of is this system that creates magic. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what I can say is, why do so many startups struggle? And there's always that question, like, why? And the why is they typically start at the wrong point. They start at the wrong part of the sequence. And so they start at like, they go out and they choose the location without like figuring out like, is this the right area? Or does it align with my kinds of patients I want to have, and what are the kind of the demographics, and what is the opportunity? Or they start with like, or someone told them, oh, this is a great location because it's got a big sign and it's really visible. But okay, well, that could be a factor, but or they start with like, I got the bank loan, so therefore the bank says it's okay, so This is a great idea. Bank says yes, therefore great idea. Check the box.
Yeah, the bank approved my startup.
So, actually, what we're going to be doing is we're actually, if I can mention this, like right now, we're going to be actually launching a new podcast later this week on Friday. It's called The Startup Dentist. So, thestartupdentist.com or the startupdentistpodcast.com. You can go there, everybody. And so, this is going to be a masterclass just on like what our 13 stages is to guide clients through that. And It is a process that leads to anything. So if I go back to my daughter, like there's a process for ortho, like it's going through this. If you're an associate, you work with a patient, there is a process. In your world, Josh, there's a process of like, there's a marketing there's a strategy, and you're going to implement at certain times. And so what we want to be able to do is take the guess out of it, and take the trial and error out of it. A lot of startups, they open and it's like, they have this trial and error method of like, let's see what works. I've got a team that just has done this with like probably a combine of thousands of startups to say, here are best practices in a process that then becomes predictable. Because if you take one piece out, or you start at real estate, or you start at, hey, I chose equipment, that's going to be tough to be able to go back and say, are my right patients here? Like, again, that's your world. Like in marketing, it's like, who are your ideal patients? Who are the people you most align with? If those things aren't there, then that's where they're going to struggle.
Yeah. What do you guys, I mean, I can imagine you're fielding a lot of calls from your clients right now. And just as they're trying to get a handle on the situation, what is it that you're saying? And I know you guys are very consultative by nature, for sure. So what is it that you're saying to them right now? Like those guys that are in that like process now, how are you guiding them?
Well, what we're doing right now is it really depends on what phase that they're at. But there's ones that are like at a similar phase where they're like, hey, we're working on building out their systems and protocol, that we can still do that. We're still focusing on what they need to do from a marketing perspective. We're spending more time with like making sure that they have proper systems in place, which And those, it's their financial guidelines, it's their team training, because for a lot of new doctors and new practice owners, like hiring and team training and what are the guidelines, and making sure that they just don't flip the switch on Monday and go, cool, let's just roll with this and see what happens.
Yeah.
We're able to give more time in that process to be able to say, what do we need to do, but also continuing for them to focus on where that future is and where they can still open properly. It's working on, even in areas in marketing, for example, we're working on areas where they can still go out and make connections in their community with other area businesses. And go out there and talk to other businesses, not about like, hey, do you have patients, but more of like, hey, what can I do to help your business in the next 90 days? When this is over, what can I do to help you? If you want to build a practice that can be a pillar in the community, it's about being a leader in your community. It's about, and that's what we're helping build with our clients, is be a leader in your community and be beyond just a dentist, because as dentists, all of you out there are watching, you are going to be a community leader, whether you like it or not. You're highly compensated, you're highly trained, you're a doctor, like people are going to look at you. Take advantage of this opportunity to say, what can you do to help other area businesses once everybody else is through this? And so those are things we're trying to help our clients really train really well on, and make sure their team is really, really trained well to be able to, on the back end of this, be able to do that piece.
Yeah, I think that's so true, man. And I love the way you said that, because I think for me, when I'm coaching clients right now, I'm encouraging them to be vocal and to communicate and do things like that, like support area businesses on Facebook. Like, Rosalita's is doing a family takeout, dinner for $35, a family for 4. I'm like, post that on Facebook, talk about it. Everybody loves Rosalita's, like show her some love.
Yeah.
And some clients are like, but that's not about dentistry. And I'm like, look, here's the deal though, is none of this is about dentistry right now. No. And it's what you said. It's whether or not you see yourself as a leader, the community assumes that you're a healthcare leader in the community.
Yeah.
And so I think if you go silent, that's what's happening, is there's a disconnect of why we never heard from you for 3 months through this. Yeah. And when patients come back, it starts to go a little bit weird of like, well, are we up to code on, infectious disease control, like all that stuff. And so communicating through this is so huge.
It is huge. And that's where they can't just stop communicating. Like, they are looked at as leaders. So become a leader. Yeah. Go out there and meet with area businesses. Even if it's something like this, like, you're in a different state than I am, like you could do Zoom meetings with other area businesses. They'll probably be really responsive and go, wow, hey, thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate it, because you're all in it together. Whatever community that you're in, reach out to your other area businesses, chat with them, make connections, be a leader in your community, and be able to help support what else is happening there. And that's the things that we're encouraging with our clients, is still do those things. Don't turn off the communication. Let people know what's happening, and just be there as support.
Yeah. Well, and even if you're a startup and you haven't opened, I think that's like vital. Like, how cool of a story is that? Like, you launched a practice during COVID, Yeah. And so connecting with other business owners even and go, hey, like, we haven't met yet, but I'm so-and-so and I'm opening a practice. They're going to be like, what? You're trying to open a practice in this? Yeah. And it's going to create some affinity. What do you, like, if you guys have a practice opening May 1st right now, like, what is it that you're telling them?
A couple of things we're telling them, and we do have some practices that are going to open up probably May 1st. A couple of things we're telling them is there's some really nuts and bolts thing. I'm very on the nuts and bolts, which is we're talking with their lenders, because banks are doing deferred payments. Like, hey, we're making sure, like, from a financial perspective, where are they at? Like, making sure that they talk with their bank. We're also even addressing things like what's in their lease, what's the language in their lease. To go, let's approach landlords and be able to say, hey, can we get some alleviation and some flexibility on their leases? The other thing that we're also doing is, we're still spending a little bit of extra time on some of because sometimes we're up against like this timeline of like, hey, the free rent's coming up, and so we need to open the doors so we can have revenues. Well, if we're got a little bit of a longer extended period of time, or we're opening up in May, it's like, okay, great, let's make some shifts also with things like the marketing message. Because if you can only see emergency cases, here's something that's profound. Some doctors that may have closed their practices, they're not even telling their patients that they're seeing emergency cases. Right. Open up, at least see emergency cases. So it's almost like, hey, take care of the financial part. Talk with your lender, talk with your landlord, like get some flexibility that's there. So it's almost like park those things over to the side. But then what else can they be focusing on is making sure that if they do open, market effectively towards things that can actually market towards. There will be needs out there. I have tons of clients that are seeing patients right now. They're doing emergency cases. I had a client here in Florida yesterday, talking with him. He had listen to this, a $5,000 day. $5,000 day, and he can't see anything but emergency cases.
Yeah.
So we're still encouraging, like, let's open, but let's open with like financially being in the right place. So my team, I've got experts on funding and everything. I got them talking with the lenders, getting those things in place. Got my team talking with the landlords and their representatives and the agents to say, what can we do there? Like kind of lowering the overhead part of that piece, and then still focusing on the things that they can do and shifting some messaging from a marketing perspective.
Yeah. I think that mindset's so important. That was from that first Monday when things started going down. That was kind of our message, because what I watched was on social media, every practice was posting, we're closed, and sometimes it was like, except for emergencies. But I started putting it out there. I was like, hey guys, I don't know if that's the right message. I think the message is we're open, right? Like restaurants right now, they're open. It just has to look different. A lot of them are getting into takeout and delivery and meal planning and all that stuff because they have to. It's got to look different. And instead of going, we can't do this, they're focusing on, okay, what can we do? And I think that that's vital right now in dentistry. I think if we're holding on to, well, this is the way we used to do it, and we're going to wait till we get back to that way, I think it's going to be harder. Right now, it's the mindset of what can we do? How can we stay open? How can we still keep caring for the community?
Yeah, it's kind of like, don't turn off the engine, just keep it in idle, but like idle slowly into this. And so what we're doing is we're not turning off the engine. We're just kind of like slowing the engine down a little bit to be appropriate with the messaging and appropriate with like what they can be working on today that they can really, really do. And even the ones that are opening up in the next few weeks, I think they're over the initial shock of like, oh my gosh, now it's like, okay, all right, what can we do? Like, let's work on, don't point at the problem, like, let's go find the solution. And there are solutions that exist. And it's just, like you said, different. It's not the same, it's just slightly different messaging.
Yeah. One of the things I love about you, and I know you wanted to talk about this, was understanding the difference between being an entrepreneur and being a business owner, because they're two different things. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like being an entrepreneur definitely has this like romanticism about it now. It's looked at very romantically, and this like hustle, like go grind, hustle on, like all the messaging that's out there. It's entrepreneurship is really looked at in a romantic way. And sometimes I'm like, it is, man, it's a ton of fun. There's other times I'm like, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. So tell me, give us a little difference there on those two.
Well, I like to make the distinction between being an entrepreneur and being a practice owner, because anybody who's watching this can be a practice owner. All you need is 4 walls, some chairs, a roof, and get an awesome website. You have a practice. And that's where a lot of them struggle. And also, I think it's also understanding the advice that is out there of becoming an entrepreneur as a startup, which is, it's not just a business that opens, it's having those systems in place, like having the right hiring strategies to understand what needs to be there. What are your financial guidelines that are there within the practice? How are you going to handle those things? Going out there and seeking advice that is going to be relevant to startups. I think if you're sitting there today, imagine going to a seminar. I won't turn around, but I could. But, I'm getting thin here. But like, imagine you're at an event, and you go to these audiences sometimes, and they talk to the subject that they want to deliver, versus the subject that is actually relevant to the crowd. And startups are a little bit like that because there's so much practice management advice out there that's really good for you when you've been open for 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And like, for example, like one of the big things that comes up, and it's kind of a trick question, is people talk about overhead in startups, for example. I'll pick on overhead. Trick question is, what's the overhead percentage of a startup? It's 100%.
Right.
And so what happens is startups are like, oh, what's your overhead percentage? That's irrelevant in startup world because your numbers and your overhead are they're important, but it's not relative to startups. It's relative to like when you're open for X amount of years, but your percentages are all off with that. And so I think it's taking an understanding of seeking advice that is based upon startups and becoming that entrepreneur, not just seeking advice that's practice management, because there's a lot of practice management advice out there. And there's a lot that's out there that's really, really great. I think it's just making sure that it's geared towards startups because it's so different. And I want everyone to go out there and seek that kind of advice because don't just have a business that opens. You're just, in other words, don't just be open for business. And that's what we always say. Don't just open for business. Be an entrepreneur that actually truly opens a business. So not just because you can open any time, but making sure that you're actually becoming and understanding that you're making a transition from clinician to business owner to an entrepreneur. And what does that mean? You're wearing a lot of hats. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. Like there's days you're like, oh man, what the heck? But it's so enjoyable. But you have to watch where you seek that information from.
Yeah, because is it true? Would this be a true statement of? I think that the dental industry climate has been favorable to opening a practice. So if you weren't focused, if you weren't building a skill set as an entrepreneur, and you were just a good clinician, you could still open a practice and maybe even have a successful practice by some standards. Is that true? Is that? You feel like you've seen that?
Yeah, I think so. But I think what happens a lot with startups is like they kind of like, I'll use the word, like they like literally wig out over like the wrong things. And like this is, our society is kind of built upon like, what are results? And it's like, no. It's built upon like, what is the sequence of events to get to a point where you have results? And so the focus gets kind of distorted in startup land sometimes, where the focus becomes like, what are your overhead expenses, or what are this, and how many new patients, and exactly having like this silver bullet approach of having a startup. There isn't a silver bullet approach. It's like having good people and seeking advice that have done it, like people like you and your team that have done it hundreds of times to help support startups, and understanding that a startup marketing strategy is much different than the doctor that's been open for 10 years. Like those are totally different approaches.
Yeah.
So like, I think just understanding that difference that is out there.
Yeah. How much of entrepreneurship is you're born with it, and how much is a skill set that you can acquire?
I think you can. Oh man, I don't know if I was considered myself an entrepreneur like years ago. It's like, I think it was like you said. I romanticized that, like, ooh, entrepreneur. That sounds like fun.
Yeah. And
I don't think I really knew exactly what it needed to be an entrepreneur, which is to be a leader for the people that you're helping to on your own team. And so it's not just coming up with all the ideas, but it's coming up with that. But I think you can absolutely learn it, because naturally, I think there's a lack of training at the program level, if in dental school and things like that, to train to be entrepreneurs. But there are some people that have a little bit of that instinct. But I'll tell you, like, I have my clients come in like with very little or no experience in hiring or team communication or financial guidelines or understanding insurances, and they can all be trained to know what that is and then learn how to lead team members. I think you can learn it. I think it's some people just kind of get it where they need more structure, and there's others that need to be trained to do it. But I think you can learn so much of it 100% from the right sources.
Yeah. I think even with me, like I started on my entrepreneurship journey later in life. I mean, I was 36 when I started this. So, but it was interesting because I look back and I'm like, I probably, if I would have, started a company at 23, 24, I probably would have fallen more into that statistic. What they say, like it takes 10, you fail 10 times before you build a successful business or whatever that is, but because I started later, I think that just that wealth of experience, that intuition, that skill set was just way more developed. And so things I think moved faster in that regard. If people are like, as you're learning entrepreneurship, like, do you have certain people you look to, certain sources for education? Like, how has that skill set developed for you?
I read a lot, candidly. I read on a daily basis. I try to seek out people with like mindsets in our industry. I try to seek out people outside of our industry to understand, just other businesses. So it's really trying to align with other entrepreneurs myself and just other business owners about looking at things through different perspectives. I like to read a lot just about like leadership and things like that, because I think like you, I kind of started later in life as well as a business owner. And I think the things that I probably learned were like, wow, I was kind of a dumb kid when I was 25 and, and I didn't understand how to lead a team and understand that it's not about, as an entrepreneur, it's not about you.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. It wasn't about me. It was about like, how can I get my team to a point where they are realizing their own goals and aspirations of what they want to have and achieving what those things are. So I look at a lot of people through whether it's podcasts, I read a lot, and I seek out other entrepreneurs just through business owners and just love to be able to collaborate on that, just to be able to say, hey, give me your perspective on this. I even look at my wife sometimes, and it's like somebody that's totally outside of it, kind of looking at it from like a third party and going, well, what about this?
Yeah.
Where you're just, sometimes you got to get your head out of it. And if somebody kind of hovers over it, they can give you good advice and direction. Yeah,
for sure. My wife's been a huge advisor. She plays a little bit of a role, and she plays a huge role in our company as well, but been a huge advisor along the way. Just always is that voice of reason sometimes that I can bounce things off of. What are you reading right now through this time?
Oh, what am I reading right now?
I figured you'd have something there close.
I do have. I just finished up this book. This is Leadership by John C. Maxwell. He is a leader. He's actually a trainer of leadership. This was a great book, and I had to read this slow. I'm not a fast reader, but I had to read it slow because it was like nuggets of like awesome. Like it was like, oh my God, that's so. I had to read it slow because there were so much actionable items in there of becoming a leader. So the name of the book, Leadership by John C. Maxwell. He's got a lot of other books, mostly on leadership, and I ate that book up. It was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, I'm a huge John Maxwell fan. I mean, he's like the OG of leadership for sure. Cool. I know you guys, you do some events through the year as well with Ideal Practices. So this is probably throwing a wrench into that. How's it affected the event kind of side of things?
I think, what we were supposed to have one in April. So it's Startup Practice Blueprint, and we're pushed that out a little bit into tentatively for June. At this point, we still have our fall session that's still going to be there. That will be in Las Vegas. And so our spring one, we just pushed out. We're going to kind of play it by ear. And so we've had a lot of people that are just shifted out. So we moved that into June. And then we still have the one in October that will be in Las Vegas. So it shifted a little bit for our event, but we're going to still have it there. And we still had a lot of interest for those doctors. So it might shift again, depending on kind of what happens, but we're nimble.
Yeah. Who are those events designed for? Like who's that perfect person out there listening right now?
Oh, wow. The perfect person is somebody that is committed to a startup. But it's also somebody who's like, I know a startup is my path, but I just don't know where to begin. But I know I'm committed to it because like we need people that are like, this is not like our system isn't like, coin goes in a slot and practice comes out the bottom. It's like it takes deep collaboration with our clients so that they can get the most out of it, so that they're trained to be leaders once they get through this process. So the ones that are great for this event are I know I want to do a startup. I don't know where to begin, but I'm committed to this. Or they're like, I think I want to know what the steps are, because we basically just lay out all of our 13 stages during that whole 2-day event.
Okay.
And people leave with like the clarity of, I know this is the path. And some of them are just like wanting to know, like, they want to avoid the mistakes about there that typically startups when they struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good, man. Look, associates that are on here that are sitting here listening to this, I feel like there's some out there that are probably, they've been entertaining the idea through this of maybe I should do a startup. And maybe they're sitting there thinking like, that's a crazy idea right now. But I'm telling them, I don't know that it is. And, reach out to Steven, get in touch with him, possibly even attend one of those events coming up to just get a handle on the process and figure it out. I think you'll be surprised how methodical, how systematic it is, and how predictable those results are. I mean, when you said that earlier, you've walked 650 startups through this process. I mean, that's crazy. I had no idea it was that many.
Yeah, it's and you learn something like every single time, and
maybe a little bit
to understand. It's like, but it's like those commercials. What is the Farmers Insurance? We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
Yeah,
there's things that are going to come up, just like you as an associate. It's like you may be doing a crown. You're like, I'm doing a crown on 15. Life is good, and all of a sudden something happens with a tooth that day, and you're like, never seen that happen before. That happens sometimes in startups, and it's not about like predicting every move, but it's about what are the solutions, because there's going to be a bump in the road. There's going to be a fork in the road throughout this process. It's how do we get through that? What fork do we choose? Or when that bump comes up, like what do we need to do? So there's never perfect. There's always like finding solutions as we get through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, I love what you guys do. I mean, I met Jamie a couple years ago. He was speaking at a couple of events I was at, and we connected a little bit. You and I randomly met at Paul Homiley's 2-day speaker workshop last June.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know you were going to be there. You didn't know I was going to be there. And honestly, I don't even think we talked until we were having tacos that night.
Yes.
Tacos, and there might have been a little tequila involved as well.
It was tacos and tequila. And I was like, hey, so like you do marketing for dental practices. And I think we did it at a break. I was like, cool. All right. Talk to you later. And I was like, hey, tell me more about like what you guys do. And so, it's a great synergy, I even had that, like I had some notes here. I'm like, where we met and, and some of the advice that we got from Paul at that event. And so, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Paul is a master communicator, and he's helped me tremendously. And anybody that's jumping into that program, I know really values not just building a business, but communication as well. And so, but yeah, when I first met you, I was like, oh wait, I was like, Ideal Practice. I'm like, isn't that Jamie Amos? Because that's who I associate. And you're like, yeah, no, it's both of us like together doing this. I
let him be the commercial. He's more of the commercial more often than I am. So you can see this is my Ideal Practices surfboard for my team for my birthday last year. So it's not a real surfboard, but it's.
That's awesome. That's cool. Good. All right, man. Well, look, if somebody's out there listening, they've been watching this, and they want to get more information about you guys, where is the best place to connect or reach out?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, thanks to everybody. Like, awesome for being here. Like, this is a 12 to 18 month process, just like I told my daughter, which is like your braces will get done. They'll all get done. So to find out more information, a couple sources. Like I mentioned, our new podcast is going to launch. It's called the Startup Dentist Podcast. So the Startup Dentist Podcast, you can also find us at howtoopenadentaloffice.com. Or you can email me at steven@howtoopenadentaloffice.com. But check out our new podcast. It's going to launch today. And it's just a masterclass for associates thinking about startups.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that as well. That'd be great. And it's Steven with a PH.
Steven with a PH. That is it. That is it.
Cool. Well, hey, man, look, I appreciate you taking the time. I know time is just a valuable thing right now. So everybody that's been on here has been very generous, taking an hour out of their day. So thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Hope you guys,
everybody out there for listening and like looking forward to help supporting them and like in what they want to do and helping support our industry. Josh, thank you for like helping get the information out there to help continue to help support our industry. What you're doing is awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, last question. What are you guys doing this weekend?
A little sun, a little fun. I think I got maybe a little.
You're not going to the beach, are you? You're not one of those guys.
No, the beaches are shut down. I will get fined. So the weekend is
on CNN, the helicopter fly over.
Yeah, they were. So a couple weeks ago, my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and we're sitting there. It was the day before they actually closed the beaches, and we're sitting there, and my wife and I were like, what the heck? Girls out there playing, and all there were is like just helicopters buzzing over top of us. So next day they shut them down. So we'll probably be poolside. Maybe I'll get out for a little bit of golf if I can. We'll some good family time just to get some fresh air.
Yeah. We were just talking about that before the show, that golf is considered an essential business right now.
It's an essential activity is what it's called. So the essential activity, so outdoor activities in the state of Florida and things like that. So it's an essential activity, which is good.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. I think we got some yard work in our future this weekend. I was telling you, it's supposed to be 60 degrees and sunny here. And I think Ohio is just going to freak out this weekend because of that. Everybody's going to be outside grilling.
It's going to be great. So many more people are outside now. And it's amazing. Even though I live in a state that most people are outside, I feel like it's just, people are more outside. Even they can connect even with their neighbors and things like that. And everybody out there, like, connect with your neighbors. Like, go out there, safe distancing, be safe, but get out and to be able to go outside and get some fresh air. It's definitely it'll help your mental state for sure.
100%. Do it. Get outside. Sun is good for you. Vitamin D. Yeah. Have a good weekend.
All right, guys.
All right, bro. Thanks so much. I'll see you soon, I'm sure.